I married a man with a stepchild. However, we currently have a strained relationship due to differences in parenting styles. My relationship with my stepdaughter has also deteriorated. And then an incident occurred. Suddenly, at one point, my husband and stepdaughter started ignoring me. They ignore my morning greetings, my attempts at conversation, and even when they are talking together, they don't include me in the conversation. Despite my efforts to break the situation, nothing seems to work. Feeling helpless, I overheard a terrible conversation between my husband and stepdaughter. What is this? Is this how they really think of me? I can't bear being ignored like this anymore. I've made up my mind to leave the house. Then, a few days later, something unbelievable happened with my husband. My name is Mary, and I'm 30 years old. I work as a company employee in an IT firm. My husband, Mark, who is 9 years older, and I have been married for 2 years. I got to know Mark through a friend's introduction, and we started dating. I was drawn to Mark's gentlemanly and nurturing nature. Our daughter, Natalie, is 14 years old. The three of us live together in an apartment. As you can tell from Natalie's age, she's not my biological daughter, but Mark's stepchild. He was in a previous relationship, and Natalie is the child from that relationship. Mark and his ex-wife divorced when Natalie was young. The reason for their divorce was said to be the result of their busy work schedules causing them to drift apart. Mark's ex-wife abandoned Natalie's custody and disappeared somewhere. Since then, Mark has been raising Natalie on his own. Before we got married, he told me that he was bisexual and had a child. I struggled with the idea of dating him for a while, but I decided to meet Natalie first. Natalie seemed like a modern girl, dressed in fashionable clothes, and was quite adorable.
Nice to meet you. I'm Natalie. My dad always talks about you.
Nice to meet you too. I'm Mary. Likewise, I'm grateful for everything Mark has done for me.
Oh, come on. Don't be so nervous. I wanted to chat with you too.
Natalie cheerfully addressed me, sensing my nervousness. Natalie didn't seem opposed to my relationship with Mark. In fact, she seemed somewhat pleased about it.
I've always felt lonely without a mom around. I know Dad has been trying his best to raise me, but since you get along so well and are such a nice person, I would be happy if you could be my mom.
Upon hearing that, I felt the desire to become her mother. After some time, Mark proposed to me and I accepted. At first, my parents were hesitant about our marriage given the circumstances. It's natural for parents to feel that way when their child is trying to raise a child who isn't biologically related. Still, I made an effort to convince both of my parents. I earnestly wanted to become a family with Mark and Natalie, and I fought for it. Somehow, my desperate feelings must have gotten through, and my parents eventually agreed to our marriage. And so, by hook or by crook, I managed to marry Mark. The first few months of our marriage went smoothly. Natalie started calling me Mom, and Mark was kind to me. But gradually, our life became more and more unsettled. After dinner, Natalie lounges on the living room sofa without clearing her plate. Meanwhile, Mark sits beside her, watching TV and drinking alcohol. I reminded Natalie to clean up her plate. Natalie, you should clean up your plate after eating. Didn't I remind you about this the other day? Although I intended to express a reasonable opinion, Natalie glared at me with an unhappy expression.
Huh? Ugh, you're such a pain. Can't you do it, Mom?
No, you have to clean up your own plate. You're already in middle school, so you should take care of your own things properly.
Stop lecturing me about every little thing. You're so annoying.
Just because I asked her to wash the dishes, Natalie adopts a defiant attitude towards me. Feeling irritated, I ended up scolding Natalie sharply. What's with that tone? As I argued with Natalie, Mark took Natalie's side.
Hey, don't say mean things just because Natalie is a stepchild. You should handle the post-dinner cleanup yourself.
Just because she's a stepchild doesn't mean she knows everything. I'm doing this for Natalie's own good. Natalie and Mark completely leave the household chores to me. They don't even try to help voluntarily. When asked, they help, but not without grumbling. Even when I say we're family, so let's cooperate, my husband insists.
Housework is a woman's work.
While Natalie retorts,
You're so cold for a mother.
I'm also busy with work, especially when we both work. At such times, when household chores are neglected, they both invariably start accusing me of slacking off. Moreover, Mark and I have been arguing over differences in educational approach. Natalie, our 14-year-old daughter in the 3rd year of junior high school, is facing entrance exams for high school. Despite this, Natalie doesn't study and just plays around. She's always like this.
I don't have to study desperately. It'll be fine. I can get good grades without studying much.
Indeed, Natalie has a good aptitude, so even with little study time, her school grades aren't bad. However, it's impossible to pass exams without studying, especially considering that Natalie wants to attend a private high school. It's never a bad idea to develop a habit of studying. Since it's a matter concerning her future, I've urged Natalie to study many times. However, instead of taking my concern to heart, Natalie just rebels and snaps back at me with a hurtful,
Stop nagging!
Even when I try to discuss it with Mark, he doesn't seem to listen.
She's responsible enough, so she'll be fine. Nagging like that only kills her motivation. Don't say such irresponsible things.
Once she becomes a high school student, studying will become much harder than it is now, you know? Especially if she's going to a private school, it's even more important to teach her the importance of studying.
Stop being so annoying. You're not even her real mother, so don't act like you know everything. Have you become more unpleasant since before we got married?
The issue of Natalie's education has led to numerous arguments between my husband and me, souring our relationship. On top of that, Mark has been spending less time at home lately. While he claims it's due to his busy work schedule, I can't help but wonder if he simply doesn't want to be around me. My relationship with Natalie has also become quite strained because of her rebellious attitude, which often leaves me feeling miserable. The thought of divorce crosses my mind, but I find it hard to make a decision. Given that I convinced my parents and got married, I worry about being judged if we were to divorce within just 2 years. As I grapple with these thoughts, an incident occurs. One day, when I tried to greet Natalie in the morning, something strange happened. Good morning, Natalie. Breakfast is ready, so go ahead and eat. Natalie heads to the kitchen without responding to my words. I tilt my head, wondering if my daughter simply didn't notice my greeting. However, it seems there's more to it. No matter how much I try to engage her in conversation afterward, Natalie continues to ignore me. Whether I bid her farewell as she leaves for school or greet her when she returns home, she ignores me completely. She's treating me as if I don't exist at all. Feeling troubled, I turned to Mark for advice when he returned from work. Hey, Mark, there's something I want to talk to you about regarding Natalie.
Ugh.
Huh? Mark? Wait a minute. Why aren't you responding? My husband, too, ignores me as I desperately try to engage him in conversation. Even after finishing dinner, Mark and Natalie remain silent, not saying a word, and quickly retreat to their rooms. Since then, I've been ignored by both my husband and daughter. No matter how much I try to talk to them, neither of them responds at all. Even when I try to join in Mark and Natalie's conversation, I'm the only one ignored. I took the initiative to do household chores and even tried to cook their favorite dishes to get their attention, but nothing seemed to work. As I juggled work and household chores alone, my fatigue gradually accumulated. On weekends, Mark and Natalie started going out to eat together more often, leaving me behind. And despite being a family, I felt completely left out and deeply saddened. How did things end up like this? Although there has been tension in the air lately, this is not the way to treat me. I couldn't understand why they suddenly started behaving this way. Despite my attempts to initiate conversation, being ignored made me feel like my heart was breaking. At that moment, I received a surprising phone call. One day, when I returned home from work, Mark and Natalie were having a serious discussion. First, Natalie made a statement mocking me, saying,
Mom is so simple-minded.
in a way that made me feel foolish. She continued smugly.
The ignoring strategy was a huge success. Just by us ignoring her, Mom stays quiet and does all the housework without saying anything extra. If there's such an easy way, we should have ignored her sooner.
Moreover, my husband agrees.
Besides, she earns our living expenses and has become a convenient housekeeper. She used to be quite lively, but lately she's been trying to please us and stopped nagging. She really came in handy.
From now on, I'll be a high school student and will need money, so she'll still have to earn for us. I'm young and I have a lot I want to do, so I can't be bothered with housework. Mom needs to work extra hard.
Absolutely. Our current lifestyle is comfortable and nice. Let's continue ignoring her like this. I mean, I originally married that woman out of a desire for household comfort. This kind of life suits her better.
My husband and daughter are chatting and laughing gleefully as they have such a conversation. Listening to their conversation, I reached my breaking point. I will never forgive them. I will drag both of them into hell. The next morning, after finishing all my preparations, I greeted Mark and Natalie. However, as usual, they ignored me. Natalie even went as far as scoffing at me. After they were gone, I packed my belongings and left the house. When I suddenly returned home, my family was surprised, but after hearing the circumstances, they said,
"You can stay as long as you need."
When my parents comforted me with words like, "It must have been tough," I felt like crying. I had thought they would blame me for what had happened, despite my desperate efforts to convince them to let me marry Mark. However, my parents understood my feelings better than anyone else. Then, a few days later, I was relaxing at my parents' house when I got a call from Mark. When I answered the phone in disgust, he suddenly started cursing at me.
"Where are you? Aren't you ashamed to be fooling around despite being a mother? It's about time you come back home."
After breaking his silence for the first time in a while, he starts yelling at me as if I'm the one at fault. I replied to Mark with wariness in my voice. "No thanks. I have no intention of changing. I'm divorcing you, Mark. I can't continue with you anymore."
"Huh? What are you talking about, selfishly? Stop acting like a child just because I ignored you for a bit. I'll never agree to a divorce."
He seems to staunchly refuse divorce, perhaps because he doesn't want to let go of the housekeeper. However, with my next words, he froze. "No, I will definitely ask for a divorce. Because you're cheating, aren't you? I had received a phone call earlier. It was actually from the husband of Mark's affair partner. Mark's late returns weren't due to work, but because he was meeting with his affair partner. When he went out on holidays, he was actually going out to eat with his affair partner. Actually, when Natalie and Mark were talking together, I overheard such conversations.
Dad's affair partner is beautiful and pretty. It would have been better if she were Mom instead. Then I could brag about it to everyone in my class.
I think so too, but she's married, you know? Besides, I can't have her acting like a housekeeper. Her pretty hands would get rough. Housekeepers are meant for plain and simple women like your mom, Mary.
It seems my husband never even dreamt that I knew about his affair. I told the stunned Mark, delivering another blow. I will claim alimony from you. Oh, and I've sold that apartment. It's better for you to leave quickly. The apartment where we lived as a family was bought by my father before marriage and is in my name. So I arranged for movers to transport all the furniture I bought to the new apartment, which I purchased secretly. After leaving the house, I sold the apartment where we used to live and bought a new one for living alone. I did all of this secretly without telling my husband and daughter. Of course, I had permission from my father. If anything, I would say that my father was more enthusiastic than I was. By the way, I sent Mark and Natalie's belongings to his parents' house. I included a letter detailing the various circumstances just to be safe. However, even if they wanted to return to his parents' home, there would be no place for them. In addition to Mark's parents, his brother's family also lives there, and Mark doesn't get along well with his father. To make matters worse, he was cheating. It's clear that Mark will be estranged from his parents. Feeling cornered, he desperately begged for forgiveness over the phone, realizing his precarious situation.
I'm sorry. Natalie and I took advantage of your kindness. The temptation of infidelity was just a momentary lapse caused by frustration at work. I only love you, Mary. Please, forgive me.
Mark earnestly apologizes, but that's not something I inclined to believe. I've tried to be a real family with them. I was tough on Natalie because I was worried about her future. I argued with Mark because I wanted us as a couple to think about our daughter Natalie together. But they ignored and hurt me for stupid reasons like wanting an easy life and wanting to have their own way. I can't live with people like that anymore. You and Natalie don't want a family, do you? You just want a maid you can call whenever you need something done, right? I tried to become part of your family, but that's just terrible, isn't it? There's absolutely no way I could stay with people like you in the future.
That's not what I'm thinking at all. I really feel sorry. Natalie also says she wants to apologize to her mom.
I'm not going to tolerate a disrespectful daughter who mocks others. Didn't Natalie say she wanted a beautiful mom? I'm sure she would be happier to be a stranger with me. Don't involve me anymore. With that, I hung up the phone. A few days later, the divorce with Mark was finalized through a lawyer. I demanded alimony from him and his affair partner. The husband of the affair partner also demanded alimony from the two of them. Mark depleted his savings but still had to take out loans to repay the alimony for both of them. He and Natalie are now living in an old, cheap apartment after being evicted from their apartment. The affair partner borrowed money from her parents to pay the alimony and is now working at a relative's factory. I thought it was all over, but a few months later, surprisingly, I received a reconciliation request from Mark.
Hey, Mary. Please, give me another chance.
What's this all of a sudden? You and I are already divorced and strangers. Don't contact me out of the blue like this.
Please, don't say that. Natalie is in trouble right now.
According to Mark, it seems Natalie couldn't afford to attend the prestigious private high school due to his debts. Natalie reluctantly enrolled in a public high school. However, due to her selfish personality, she was disliked by the entire class and ended up isolated. It seems that now Natalie, feeling mistreated by her classmates, has become a shut-in and spends her days venting her frustrations. On top of that, with no one to do the chores, the room is getting dirtier and dirtier. It seems like they might get kicked out of the apartment they're living in due to the foul odor. Mark says that such a situation is Natalie's own fault. I won't go back to you. Don't ever contact me again. I decisively rejected any possibility of reconciliation and blocked Mark's number. Right now, I'm living peacefully with my parents while focusing on my job. Considering the troubles with my family, I'm not thinking about marriage for a while. For now, I just want to develop a better eye for men.
My husband gives our stuff to Amiel. No complaints. One day, his prized luxury car vanishes. I hint at the culprit, and...
My bracelet is missing. I bet your mom took it again without asking.
Stop complaining. It's for Mom.
My husband's mother has a habit of taking my things without permission, and he just goes along with it. Why won't you help me? I'm seriously upset about this. Around that time, Paul's prized luxury car was stolen. I knew who the culprit was. I'm Karen, 28 years old. My happy life with Paul started to crumble about a year into our marriage. We both work, but I get off work earlier, so I usually get home first and prepare dinner. That day, as I awaited for him, he came home and announced,
Next week, Mom's staying with us.
What? What do you mean she's staying with us? He got irritated and clarified.
She's staying with us. She's moving in.
Huh? She's moving in?
Yeah, it's like living together. Dad passed away and Mom's been alone. She's getting older and it's tough for her.
Wait a minute. You can't just decide this on your own. What about our life? I need some time to think about this. However, he just laughed it off, saying,
Don't worry, our life won't change. Mom wants to live with us for a peace of mind.
I get that living alone can be scary, but deciding to live together without even consulting me? Couldn't you have mentioned it?
No need to report every detail to you. She's my mother, after all.
That's exactly why you should tell me. It's different when it's someone else's parent. I have to be considerate.
Why are you so upset? I've already decided. So, just go along with it, okay?
Wait a minute. I protested, but he just left the room. Left alone, I felt increasingly frustrated. How could he make such a big decision like living together without considering my feelings? He doesn't do any chores, and living with her doesn't seem to bother him because it's his mother. We tried to discuss it several times, but he insisted it was already decided and wouldn't engage in a real conversation. As planned, the next week, my mother-in-law, Mary, moved in. I might not have been so opposed to living together if she was decent, but she's a mean-spirited, manipulative mother-in-law. That's why I've always kept my visit to my in-laws to a minimum. But now she was moving in, and here she is. Sure enough, from day one, she started throwing snide remarks my way. Karen, didn't you know I was coming today? There's dirt in the corner of the room. I'm sorry, I had work today and didn't have time to clean. No excuses. You could have done it after work. But then I wouldn't have had time to prepare dinner. Oh, always talking back. Is this how you act as my son's wife? Be more efficient. I'm sorry. She had been in our house for only 10 minutes and was already causing trouble. I dreaded what was to come. Since then, her rude behavior escalated, constantly stressing me out. One day, I came home from work, and she greeted me with a big smile, saying, "Welcome home." It was unusual, so I was taken aback. Then I noticed something shiny around her neck. Wait a minute, that necklace looks like mine. I had a bad feeling and rushed to my room to check my jewelry box. Just as I suspected, my necklace was missing. I went straight to the living room where Mary was sitting and confronted her. Mary, that necklace you're wearing is mine, isn't it?
Oh, you finally noticed. It looks good on me, doesn't it?
I couldn't believe her audacity. What? Please stop using other people's things without permission.
What's the big deal about borrowing something? It's not like it gets used up.
That's not the point.
Stop complaining and go prepare dinner. My son will be home soon.
Preparing dinner with her constantly criticizing me intensified my stress. That night, I couldn't take it anymore and decided to talk to Paul. Hey Paul, can we talk?
What's up?
Today, your mom wore my necklace without asking.
Oh, really?
He said nonchalantly. Do you understand what I'm saying? She went into my room, opened my jewelry box, and took it without permission.
Took it? Aren't you exaggerating? I'm sure she didn't mean any harm.
He said, taking his mother's side, and I felt quite rage building up. I tried to keep my voice calm, and I repeatedly explained to him. How can she not mean any harm when she enters my room and takes my things without permission? Normally, people apologize for using something without asking.
Mom just happened to find something nice.
That's not the point. Please talk to her about it.
What? You want me to talk to her about it?
Yes, of course. She looks down on me. No matter how much I say, it won't make a difference. You're her son. She listens to you.
All right, I'll talk to her.
Thank you. Despite saying that, it seems like he had completely forgotten about it by the next day. I glared at him several times, but he never ended up talking to his mother about it. Since then, she started using my things without returning them. In other words, she was practically stealing them. No matter how much I asked her not to do it, it was useless because none of the rooms in this house have locks. There's no point in saying anything. At this rate, I'm going to lose all my things. I have to stop her somehow. I need to think of a plan. Then, one day, something unforgivable happened. What? It's gone! It's gone! Why? I was getting ready to meet a friend and wanted to wear my mother's bracelet, which I kept in the back of a drawer in my desk because it was very special, but it was missing. Clearly, Mary was the only suspect. When I confronted her firmly, she casually admitted to the theft. Oh, that bracelet? I just borrowed it. You borrowed it? Then please return it right now. I need it. Ah, that's not possible. Why? Because I sold it. You sold it? I couldn't believe it. It had to be a joke. She could have just sold someone else's property. I countered her, still in shock. Mary, stop joking around and give it back now. I'm not joking. I've sold most of the things I borrowed from you. What? Are you out of your mind? As we were arguing, Paul, who had just woken up, came over. Paul, listen, your mom sold my bracelet.
Your bracelet?
It was my late mother's, and Mary here has sold almost everything she's borrowed from me.
Mom, is that true?
She stuck out her tongue theatrically.
Well, I live on a pension, you know. I didn't want to be a burden to you, but I needed some spending money to live every day.
You didn't answer his question, Mary. You can't just take my things and sell them, you know.
Don't get so mad. I didn't mean any harm.
If you didn't mean any harm, you wouldn't steal and or sell someone else's things in the first place. So, where and how did you sell it? Buy it back right now. Paul suddenly raised his voice, glaring not at Mary, but at me. Paul.
What?
My bracelet. Your mom took it without asking.
Shut up. It's for Mom, so don't complain.
Whoa, hold up. You've got to be kidding me. Why do I have to give up something important to me for your mom?
If it makes her happy, then it's fine. She's your mother too. Isn't it a form of respect? As a wife, just listen and do as told.
At that moment, I snapped. Enough is enough! Mary, who steals, and Paul, who sides with her. I couldn't stand living with these people anymore. My anger boiling over, I yelled back. That's it! I'm done! This is pointless! If you're not going to give it back, then we're getting a divorce.
What? Stop joking about divorce.
I'm not joking. I'm serious.
Yeah, whatever. I'll bring the divorce papers today then.
Fine. If that's how you want to play this, I have no problem with it. Mary looked pleased with our exchange. She probably always found me bothersome. Her real aim must have been to drive me out and live alone with her son. That night, Paul came home and handed me a filled-out divorce paper. After signing it, I decided to start packing my things. I decided to leave when the timing was right. During a break at work, I checked my phone and saw several missed calls from Paul's sister, Erica. Wondering if something had happened, I called her back. She told me a shocking fact. Are you serious? Yeah, dead serious. It's a very rare type, not something you see around here. But why? Oh, I took a photo, so you can check. Alright. Right after hanging up, she sent me the photo. It was undeniable proof that would lead to the downfall of her household. When I got home and was preparing dinner, Paul came up to me frantic.
Karen, what's going on?
What's wrong?
The car's gone. My car is missing.
Oh, that's too bad. I replied nonchalantly.
Why are you so indifferent? You know how much I cared about that car, right?
Yeah, I know. You've always wanted it since you were single, and you finally bought it last year.
Then show some concern. There's still a loan on that car. Where did it go? You didn't take it without asking, did you?
Of course not. I have my own car. Besides, I know you'd get mad if I drove it.
Right. But that car, it was here.
Glancing at Mary, she quickly averted her eyes from me. Confident in my suspicion, I hinted to my husband. It seems like your mom knows something about it.
Why? What does she have to do with this?
Right, Mary? I turned to her and her face quickly went pale.
What do you mean, Karen? Why would Mom be involved?
Actually, I got a call from Erica today.
From Erica?
She happened to be shopping and saw Mary driving your car.
No!
Your car is blue, right? It's rare around here, and the license plate numbers are easy to remember. She recognized it immediately.
What's going on?
Paul was furious and confronted his mother. She then started making excuses in a panic. No, it's not like that. I just borrowed the car for a bit.
Borrowed? What the heck, Mom? How many times did I ask you not to touch that car?
Sorry, Paul. I just really wanted to drive it.
And where's the car now? Did you leave it somewhere?
No, but I left the keys in it. Maybe someone nearby stole it.
What? Please tell me you're lying.
I swear I drove it home. I'm not lying. I showed her a piece of evidence that contradicted her story. Mary, you said you drove the car home, but you're lying because you see right here. What? Karen, why do you have that picture? The photo I showed was the one Erica had sent me. It showed Mary driving the car with a big dent in it. Erica took this photo just in case and sent it to me. Mary, you damaged the car and couldn't drive it back, right? No, that's not it. Then where is the car? And don't you think someone would have noticed if it was stolen from the neighborhood? Paul started shaking with rage, his face contorted in anger, and he turned on his mother. Have you gone crazy? Where did you put my car? Give it back now. Calm down, Paul. Calm down? You're going to pay for the repairs. That's not possible. I already sold that car. You sold it? That's impossible. The car is registered in my name. I found a dealer that buys anything. They said I could sell it as an agent, so I sold it for $5,700. What? $5,700? His car is still worth tens of thousands of dollars, but Mary, unaware of its value, got swindled by some shady dealer. Realizing this, he exploded in anger, yelling at her like never before. What have you done, Mom? Do you know how much that car meant to me? I'm sorry, Paul. You'll pay for this. I'll give you the $5,700, so let's forget about it. You owe me way more than that. He forced her out of the house and locked the front door. Then he turned to me, dejected. I never thought Mom could be this terrible. I'm sorry for not standing by you. You finally understand, but it's okay. I don't care anymore. I've kicked her out, so let's try to get along as a couple again. No, it's over. He was dumbfounded, his face turned pale, and he clung to me. Wait, I've kicked Mom out. There's no reason for a divorce. I'm fed up with you, too. My decision to divorce won't change. There was no turning back for me. You always took your mother's side. That's too much. You're being too harsh. Harsh? You did nothing when I needed help. Now it's too late. You're getting what you deserve. I hate you as much as your mother. My feelings will never change. Karen, calm down. Shut up. It's all your fault for deciding to live with her without consulting me. Reflect on that, jerk. I'll never forgive you. The car thing is your own doing. Serves you right. What? You really think that? Well, duh. Struggle with the house and car loans. It's the perfect punishment for you. Fall as far as you can, you jerk. With that, I took my packed bags and left the house. I went straight to the city hall to file for divorce. I deleted all of Paul's contacts and cut off all ties with him. Later, I filed claims for the sold personal items. Mary, who had to start working, was now being charged for the car by her son and would probably have to work for the rest of her life. Paul was left with just the loans for the house and car. His life completely changed. He couldn't even enjoy drives for stress relief anymore and spent his days off confined to his house. They were both beyond help. It was a perfect case of poetic justice. Serves them right. I moved to an apartment near my workplace. Now single, I had more financial freedom and a much easier life. Maybe I'll go to the beach or a concert today. This is what freedom feels like. I'm going to enjoy my days off and relish my new life.
My younger sister laughed at my infertility, offering to help, and my husband also joked about divorce. They were stunned when I said, "Let's get divorced."
My sister, who had been hanging around our house where my husband and I live, suddenly said something like this one day.
Come to think of it, you guys have been married for about a year and a half, right? Are you not planning to have children?
Before I could respond, my husband answered.
It's not that easy, you know.
Oh, so you're dealing with infertility, big sister?
My sister's eyes were maliciously smiling. I remained silent, and she came up with something outrageous.
Poor husband having a wife who's infertile. Should I offer to help?
Surprisingly, even my husband went along with it.
Maybe we should consider divorce.
At this moment, I reached my limit. There are things you can and cannot say, you scumbags. But quietly, I informed my husband, Samuel. Well then, let's get divorced.
Huh?
My husband and sister chimed in together. Both of them looked up as if seeking divine intervention. My name is Haley. I'm a 30-year-old part-time housewife. I was born as the eldest daughter of the Kirk family. My family consists of my father, mother, and my younger sister, Maya, who is 3 years younger than me. Though I grew up in such a normal household, my childhood was plagued by insecurities. The root of those insecurities lies with my sister, Maya. My sister was far more attractive than me. With her big, sparkling eyes, long eyelashes, long limbs, and perfect figure, not to mention her knack for being charming, she was praised by relatives as just like a doll. Our parents showered both of us, including Samuel, with affection, but Maya secretly looked down on me.
If I were as plain as my older sister, I might not have survived.
To think she would say something like that. Yet whenever she needed something, she would come to me and say,
Big sis, please.
I always found Maya's two-faced nature hard to deal with. Wanting to break free from such a relationship, I moved out when I entered school. After graduating, I landed a job at a major corporation and worked diligently. Then one day, a representative from an advertising agency we dealt with asked me,
Would you like to go out for a meal together sometime?
From there, the person who would later become my husband was Samuel. Samuel was 1 year older than me. He seemed refreshingly handsome, like someone working at a major advertising agency. I thought he was almost too good for me. Samuel has been approaching me since we first met. With no prior experience in romance, I found myself increasingly drawn to him, as he always treated me kindly. After a year of dating, Samuel proposed to me. Then, when we went to my parents' house for marriage arrangements, they were overjoyed.
Haley, I'm so happy about your marriage, dear. Oh, isn't he a fine young man?
While such discussions continued, Samuel looked at Maya in surprise.
You're kidding, right? Maya?
Huh? Samuel?
The two of them remained frozen, eyeing each other. What's wrong? Do you two know each other? When I asked, Samuel explained.
We were in the same university club. Maya was a junior.
Huh? Is that so? Then Maya chimed in.
Meeting Samuel here of all places? What a surprise.
Yeah, it's funny how things work out like this.
At that moment, I didn't pay much attention to it. But later, I would come to regret it. Following that, Samuel and I started our newlywed life. Samuel was busy, but he always took the time to help with household chores and look after me. On weekends, he would take me on trips or we'd go to the movies together. I'm glad I married Samuel. I hope we can continue to enjoy peaceful days like this in the future. It was during one of these times while out with Samuel at the shopping mall on a holiday that I ran into Maya.
Samuel with big sister. What a coincidence.
Saying that, my sister approached us with a smile. Oh, what a coincidence indeed. Maya, are you shopping today?
Yeah, one of my college club friends is getting married, so I came to buy a gift.
Then Samuel chimed in.
Maya, you know I'm familiar with that, right?
Julie, you probably know her, right?
Oh, that girl. So nostalgic.
Then Samuel and Maya began reminiscing about memories from their club days, things I didn't know about. I was at a loss, feeling awkward, and had no choice but to be there.
Oh yeah, Samuel, let's exchange WhatsApp messages for the congratulations, okay?
Sure thing. Get in touch later.
Right in front of me, they exchanged contact information. For a moment, I thought, I don't like this. But technically, they were relatives, so it wasn't unusual. That's what I tried to reassure myself of.
So, are you two going shopping now?
Oh, we were actually about to head back.
As Samuel responded, Maya grinned.
Well then, maybe I'll join ya.
Maya?
I want to see your love nest. Actually, I have a fiancé and I'd like to get some ideas for the future.
Oh, Maya, you have a fiancé?
Yeah, he's feeling lonely overseas right now. I plan to get married once he's back. So it's okay with you, big sis, right?
Maya, putting on a show of being close only at such times, sweetly spoke. I wanted to refuse, but since Samuel seemed okay with it, I could only nod. We stopped to buy wine on the way and then headed home.
Haley, make sure the snacks are low calorie, okay? I'm on a diet.
Naturally, Maya comes with such instructions. Then Samuel chimed in.
Hey, Maya, you don't need a diet, do you? Your figure is still great as always.
Oh, stop it. This is the result of hard work, you know?
Samuel and Maya exchanged such banter, leaving me behind as they started drinking together.
Oh, Maya's a kindergarten teacher. She's pretty, so I bet the kids adore her, right?
Well, yeah, I love kids, so I chose this profession.
Come to think of it, you were studying early childhood education in college, weren't you? I do love kids too, you know?
While I was preparing snacks, Samuel and Maya continued to chat happily. The conversation was filled with anecdotes that only they understood, leaving me feeling excluded. Just as I was about to bring the snacks I'd made, Maya said this.
Just leave it over there. Hey, Samuel, do you remember that thing?
Even though it was my own home, I felt uncomfortable. As time passed and it grew late, Maya said goodbye and left. Samuel turned to me, seeing how exhausted I was, and said something.
Maya is such a good girl, isn't she? Having a sister who's both beautiful and has a great personality must make you happy, right?
I could only force a wry smile. Maya started doing this more often afterward.
Since my fiancé is overseas, I have a lot of free time,
she'd say. Each time, she'd bring alcohol and spend hours chatting with Samuel, sharing old stories and complaining about work. During that time, it felt like I was completely ignored. Unable to bear it any longer, one day I brought it up with Samuel. Hey, Samuel, isn't Maya coming over to our house a bit too much? Maybe she should tone it down a bit.
What's the matter, Haley? It's fine. She's your sister.
But every time she comes, my plans get disrupted, and she only talks about things I'm not aware of.
Are you feeling jealous? You're cute being jealous like that.
With that, Samuel tried to pat my head. I quickly avoided it and firmly told him in a strong tone. I'm serious about this. Cut it out. I'll talk to Maya myself. At that, Samuel's expression turned sour.
What's the matter? I just think it's better to be on good terms. You saying that? It's cold, Haley.
Huh?
I didn't think you were this narrow-minded, Haley. Don't say unnecessary things to Maya.
With that, Samuel turned his face away and headed to the bathroom. Left alone, all I could do was let out a huge sigh. Even though I had once asked her to tone it down, Maya's sudden visits continued. Whenever Samuel was reliably at home on weekends, Maya would show up almost every week. Despite my reluctance, I endured Maya's persistence. About a year into our marriage, Samuel mentioned that he was busy with a new project at work, and his returns grew later and later. He would often work overtime, coming home past midnight almost daily. I worried about him and took care of him diligently. During that time, Samuel began to grow distant from me. He hardly helped with household chores, and there was little conversation with Samuel during the week, only drinking with Maya on weekends. Besides Maya's visits and Samuel's attitude, there was something else that troubled me. Even after a year of marriage, we couldn't conceive a child. Despite our efforts and timing, there were no signs of pregnancy. It seems like it's a no-go again this month, Samuel. As I reported to Samuel, who came home late with a drooping shoulder, he grimaced.
Seriously? Not again?
I was surprised by his reaction. Initially, he used to say,
Don't worry, let's keep trying.
But,
Didn't I say I wanted kids soon? Maybe the problem lies with you.
I've been to the fertility clinic, but the doctor said there's no issue.
No, that can't be right. The cause of infertility is usually on the woman's side. You should get checked more thoroughly.
That's... Turning away from me, speechless, Samuel had fallen asleep. Samuel, he's clearly changed. Why? Could it be that there's another woman? For the first time, I considered that possibility. The face that immediately came to mind was Maya's. But such a thing couldn't be true. She says she had a fiancé, and it's absolutely forbidden for my sister and my husband to have any relationship. Still, my suspicions lingered, leaving me restless. I felt there was no choice but to confront this head-on, so I decided to request a fresh investigation into Samuel's affairs. At almost the same time, I also decided to look into something else. While waiting for the investigation results, Maya often visited. Samuel would entertain her happily. From the outside, they seemed quite close. Yet, in my presence, they maintained the stance of classmates and brother-in-law, and I remained unable to grasp the truth. Then, several weeks later, on that day as usual, Maya made an unannounced visit to our home in the middle of the day. Samuel and she were reminiscing over drinks as they always did. I silently endured it, feeling like part of the background. Suddenly, Maya changed the topic.
By the way, it's been about a year and a half since you and Samuel got married, right? Aren't you two planning to have kids?
Before I could speak, Samuel responded.
It's not so easy.
Huh? Is that so? Haley, are you infertile?
Maya's eyes were smirking. Before I could respond, she said something outrageous.
It's unfortunate that Samuel's marriage partner is infertile. Shall I offer to help?
Surprisingly, Samuel went along with it.
Should we divorce and try asking Maya? She seems like she'd make a good mom.
I reached my breaking point at this moment. There are some things you can say and some things you can't say, you scumbags. But I calmly told Samuel the truth. Well then, let's get divorced.
Huh?
Maya and Samuel locked eyes. Both widened their eyes in surprise.
Hey, Haley, what are you talking about? It's a joke, right?
That's right, sis. I have a fiancé, you know. You can tell it's just for fun, right?
Seeing the two of them grinning, I spoke up again. Do you think I'm clueless? In front of their eyes, I scattered several photos onto the table. Among them were pictures of Samuel and Maya walking arm in arm, and entering a hotel, among other scenes.
Wait, what is this?
To Maya, whose eyes widened in shock, I explained. I put a tracking device on Samuel. You two had something going on, didn't you?
It's not... Haley, wait! This isn't what you think.
Though Samuel turned pale and tried to explain, Maya already wore an expression of resignation.
Well, if it's already out in the open, there's nothing I can do about it. It's inevitable, isn't it? Since Samuel ended up liking me more than my plain and boring older sister, it can't be helped, right?
So that's your argument. Does your fiancé know about this? At that moment, Maya's expression turned anxious.
Well, it's none of his business, right?
None of his business? It's a big deal, because right now I'm on the phone with him.
Huh?
At that point, I showed Maya the screen of my phone. There, Maya's fiancé's name was displayed.
Why?
You openly tagged him in your engagement announcement on social media, didn't you? So I contacted him from there.
You!
In that moment of demon-like fury from Maya, a voice came through the phone.
Maya, Haley showed me the evidence. You were really cheating, huh? I'm done with you. I'm breaking off the engagement. And you'll be paying me compensation too.
What? No way! Wait a minute! Hey!
Despite Maya shouting at the screen, the call was unilaterally disconnected. My sister looked momentarily stunned, then glanced at me.
You've gone too far. I'll never forgive you. I'm going to snatch Samuel away completely.
Oh, really?
Yes, that's right. I'm going to marry Samuel and live happily ever after raising adorable babies. As for you, with your infertility, you can just live miserably after losing your husband to your sister. Right, Samuel?
At this, Samuel, who had been pale until then, suddenly perked up.
Yeah, that's right. That could work. Maya is definitely cuter than you, Haley, and I do want kids. If it's come to this with you, Haley, let's get a divorce.
Upon hearing this, Maya proudly linked arms with Samuel. I calmly took out the pre-signed divorce papers. Then, please sign this. Samuel hesitated for a moment, but pressured by Maya, he signed the divorce papers. After making sure of this, I put the divorce papers back into my bag.
Wow, you've got guts. Well, good luck, big sis.
Haley, I'm sorry, but I want children too.
I stood up and addressed them. I'll give this to the happy couple as a present. They looked puzzled as they examined the document I handed over. Eventually, as they peered into it, Maya muttered,
Natural conception is hopeless. What is this?
It's Samuel's test results from the infertility clinic. I had his sample examined.
What?
Samuel and Maya turned pale instantly.
Are you saying I'm infertile?
No way. With this, we won't be able to have children even if we get married, right?
Well, that's true. But as long as there's love, isn't it okay? As I said this with a half smile, Maya became distraught.
That's impossible. I can't marry a man who's shooting blanks like this.
Hey, Maya, what did you just say?
The two of them panicked and began to argue. I smiled and said to them at last, Oh, and by the way, I'll be suing both of you for damages. Rot in hell, you pieces of trash. And thus I departed from the room that had descended into chaos. Later, Samuel and I finalized our divorce. With the help of a lawyer, I was able to claim a larger amount than the market value in property division and damages. Samuel repeatedly called me saying Maya and I have broken up. Please, give me another chance. But I chose to block his number. Eventually, he seemed to have become like a recluse, shocked by the revelation of his infertility. He quit his job and is now in a state of despair. Maya received simultaneous damages claims from me and her ex-fiancé. She sought help from her parents, but it seems she was estranged from them. She ended up burdened with debt and quit her daytime job, now working in the nightlife scene. Even hearing all this, I feel no sympathy whatsoever. I believe they got what they deserved. As for me, 2 years later I remarried to a faithful coworker. Life with him is blissful, and we recently discovered I'm pregnant. I want to build a genuine happiness with my beloved family from now on. With these thoughts in mind, I patted my growing belly again today.
My husband. Let me have a one-night stand. Ex invited me. Me. Okay, he leaves happily. I then contact someone. Leading to lol.
Some folks might have been bummed out, discovering their partner sneaking around cheating. But what I went through was way worse. Get this. My husband actually gave me a heads up he was going to cheat. An old flame invited me over, so please allow me this one night of infidelity. When I said okay, he was over the moon. Thank you. Honestly, really is the best policy in a marriage, huh? Yeah, honesty is great and all. So I decided to live by that too, no matter what happens to him. I'm Beth. My boyfriend John can't tell a lie to save his life and can never turn anyone down when they ask for a favor, always ready to lend a hand. That's part of why I love him so much. Getting married felt like we were on our way to becoming that couple with no secrets, full of trust. One weekend, he comes to me all serious and says,
Beth, you fell for my honesty, right?
"That's right."
And my inability to say no to people.
"Uh-huh." Then he slowly pulls out this receipt from his wallet.
Being honest with you, Beth, I went here on my way back from work yesterday.
Showing me a receipt from some downtown club. "You spent $1,000?
My boss really wanted to go, and then ditched me with a bill.
This can be expensed, right?"
The thing is, our company doesn't really do entertainment expenses.
Then you shouldn't just said no.
You know I can't say no. Other guys might hide this from their wives, but I want to be upfront. You would want that, right?
Well, I guess it's better than sneaking around.
Right? I knew you would see it my way.
This only encouraged him to start splurging more often, showing me receipt every time.
Hey Beth, I found this wallet I was eyeing at the department store and just had to buy it.
$700? You had your old wallet, and why go for something so pricey?
I was just window shopping, but the salesperson convinced me to come in, and I just couldn't resist.
That's quite a splurge.
But I can't just say no when I pushed. You know me.
And it happened again the next day.
Beth, this is a tab from last night's drinks.
Seems a bit steep, doesn't it?
Turns out, I ended up covering for my juniors.
What do you mean?
I suggested going out, and they said they were broke until payday. I couldn't just ignore that.
But we were tight on cash too, with that bonus not here yet.
We've got savings. I just can't say no.
He reasoned, emphasizing his inability to refuse. It's like he thinks he can get away with anything as long as he sets up to me. Then one day, he's like,
Beth, is it okay if I go out this weekend?
Sure, but where are you going?
Actually, an ex-girlfriend called me up for a chat.
And you are meeting her alone?
Yeah, she says it's something private.
This ex, Susan, you showed me on social media. She's married, right? Doesn't it seem odd for her to meet a married man alone?
What? You think there is something going on between me and Susan? If I had something to hide, I wouldn't be telling you.
But...
Don't worry. I've already said yes anyway.
Without asking me first?
How could I refuse when she's depending on me? You know, I can't do that.
Okay. I agreed, though the thought of him meeting his ex alone worried me. And sure enough, my fears were justified. Late that night, John calls.
Sorry for the late contact, Beth.
I've been worried. What time will you be back? You can catch the last train, right?
Actually, I can't make it home tonight.
What do you mean?
Susan is having trouble with her husband and doesn't want to go home tonight. She told him she is staying at a friend's.
Wait. I'm lost. So was this the plan all along? For you two to stay together?
Yeah, seemed like she wanted to distract herself by meeting me, just for old time's sake.
Old time's sake? Like when you were dating? That's cheating.
But it's just for tonight. That's why I'm telling you.
Excuse me? Cheating is cheating, whether it's for a night or not.
But it's better than doing it secretly, right? This is my way of showing I'm honest.
Unbelievable.
She insisted she needed me, saying no one else would do. After being asked like that, You understand I can't refuse, right? Please, just for tonight.
My husband was basically asking me to approve his cheating. It didn't seem right at all. As I struggled for words, a voice that seems to be Susan interrupted. John, are you done yet? He quickly told me to hold on and started talking to her, apparently forgetting to put me on hold. Their conversation was crystal clear. John, are you sure you can convince your wife?
Just a bit more push. She loves that I can't lie and can't say no when asked. So she's just a dumb woman who will forgive anything as long as I'm honest.
Really? That's so stupid.
Right? Once she says okay, it's all good. If I declare it beforehand, I can meet you as much as I want. Being able to cheat this openly is all thanks to me choosing such a foolish wife.
John, you're really smart when it comes to things like this.
Yeah, and if I come up with a reasonable excuse, she will let me spend as much money as I want. I will buy your designer back next time.
Really?
Yeah, I will just tell her Arjunia asked for it, and it will be fine.
Oh, I love you, John.
Me too, Susan.
Now hurry up and convince that foolish wife of yours.
On it.
Holding my phone, my hands trembled. So I guess this was who really was. I had been deceived by him all this time. By the time I realized it, my feelings for him had completely cooled off. Unaware that I had overheard the conversation, John came back on the line.
Sorry to keep you waiting, Beth. She really doesn't want to go home.
It's fine. Listening to you, I realize how important it is to be honest. Do what you want.
Thank you, Beth. I knew you would understand.
He ended the call, sounding pleased. Right after that, I made another call. Having done what needed to be done, I was finally able to sleep. The next morning, John returned home in a great mood.
I'm back.
Welcome back. You seem quite happy.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how great you are. If I had gone back then, I would have felt terrible towards Susan. But I hate keeping secrets from you, so being honest was the right choice. Being honest is really important, huh?
Yes, it is. Will you always be honest with me?
Of course. I will never lie or keep secrets from you. No matter what happens, I will tell you everything.
Don't forget those words. Just then, the doorbell rang. Looks like they've arrived. John asked, puzzled.
Who?
I silently let the visitor in. The man who appeared confronted John immediately.
So you must be Susan's lover. What do you mean?
Right after John's declaration of infidelity, I had called Susan's husband Mark. Your wife is having an affair with my husband. He seems to have suspected something and quickly believed me. He wanted to talk to my husband, so I gave him our address. John, comparing me and Mark, was visibly nervous. Mark said,
I heard from your wife that you were with mine last night. Explain yourself. Beth told you?
He seems to finally grasp the situation and started to explain hurriedly.
It's not what you think. It seems there's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Yes, I was with Susan last night, but it was like a reunion. Nothing happened.
I quickly intervened. John, forgot what you said earlier? You promised to be honest. You told me last night was just a one-time thing and asked me to forgive your affair with Susan. Hearing this, Mark became even more furious.
So, you were cheating after all.
Realizing he couldn't deny it any longer, John finally admitted to the affair. As he apologized profusely, Mark threatened to sue for damages. In the end, John had no choice but to accept whatever was demanded of him. After making him sign a document for the compensation and seem satisfied, Mark finally left. Once we were alone, John turned on me.
Why the hell did you contact her husband?
Because you said we should always be honest, and it wouldn't be fair if I was the only one who knew the truth. He had no comeback and lowered his voice.
But not everyone is as understanding as you. Let's forget the past and focus on how to repay this compensation. We can't go on living like before. This debt won't pay itself off. He really charged us a hefty sum.
Well, you don't have the right to refuse, do you? It's not like you were in a position to negotiate the amount.
Yeah, but if it's you and me, we can surely get through this. Beth, can you take on more work?
Why should I?
There is a limit to how much we can cut back on living expenses, and my company doesn't allow side jobs. You will need to take on more work and put that towards a repayment.
No, I'm asking why I should pay for your compensation.
Because we are a married couple. We are supposed to be one.
Don't be ridiculous. Why should I, the one cheated on, have to clean up your mess?
But you agreed to my affair. That means you have to pay too.
That's ridiculous. If anything, I should be the one demanding compensation.
Demanding compensation between spouses doesn't make sense.
Yes, it does. I have no intention of staying your wife any longer.
What? Why?
Don't you understand? Reflect on your actions. Spending our money because you can't say no, and then cheating on top of that. Do you think anything is forgivable just because you're honest? I don't want to be with such a stupid husband anymore. I handed him a divorce papers I had prepared. Let's get a divorce. Our marriage is over.
But we've been doing fine until now.
You're the only one who thinks that. I have been tolerating and lying about my feelings all this time. From now on, I too will live honestly. Honesty is important, just like you said. My honest feeling now is that I want to divorce you as soon as possible. That's all there is to it.
Beth!
Goodbye. Good luck with your life, you honest jerk. I had already packed my things. I spilled out everything I wanted to say and left the house. The house would eventually be disposed of and become part of the division of assets. I don't want to see John's face anymore. With the affair being so evident, getting compensation is certain. It might be nice to stay somewhere luxurious for a while and slowly look for a new partner. He didn't say anything back that day, perhaps having no room to argue. The next day, as soon as I arrived at work, he called me.
Did you talk to people at my company about me?
After his declaration of cheating, I hadn't just contacted Susan's husband. I had told everyone about the affair's details, his workplace, both our parents, relatives, and friends. Yes, if you want to be so honest, it's best that not just I know the truth, but others as well. He raised his voice more than ever before.
Are you out of your mind? There are things you should and shouldn't say.
I didn't know you had such criteria. So telling your wife you're going to cheat is considered okay for you?
Alright, I was wrong, Beth. Help me. I was called to the executive office first thing in the morning, and I'm being transferred to the countryside.
Oh, really?
With the affair rumors spreading throughout the company, I can't work at the headquarters anymore. My salary will drop significantly, and there's the alimony repayment. I can't make it without you.
You should have thought more about my feeling then. It's too late now.
You! I'm trying to make amends here, and being transferred is partly because what you did to the company, so I won't pay your alimony.
Oh, you're refusing to pay the compensation I'm asking for? I thought you couldn't refuse requests from others.
That depends on the situation.
You fell for your own double standards. Basically, you've destroyed yourself. Unfortunately, I won't withdraw the compensation claim. It's something you have to pay legally, whether you like it or not.
Fine. I won't ask you for anything.
So you will pay it then. Remember, we're splitting the savings for the asset division. So don't touch my share.
I know. I've done favors for friends before. If I just ask around, plenty will lend me money.
Are you sure about that? If they know it's for your cheating compensation, your friends might think it's your just desserts and not want to lend you money.
I'm not going to tell them that. I will just say I need a loan because I'm in trouble.
They already know, even if you don't tell them.
Did you tell my friends too?
Being honest is your policy, right?
Gosh darn it! Then I have no choice but to ask my mom.
Your mother, huh?
Don't tell me you.
Yes, I've told your parents everything too. Being honest is tough, huh? During your affair with Susan, I had to inform Susan's husband, your company, friends, and even your parents and relatives. It was quite busy.
You piece of...
I could feel his despair over the phone. He's facing days of repaying alimony alone in the countryside, a result of the seeds he sowed by wielding honesty as a shield. Meanwhile, I've met another man years later, and I'm about to remarry. This time, my partner is someone who considers my feelings, knows when to say no to bad things, and can refuse properly. It seems obvious, but only after leaving John did I realize the importance of such basic things. This time around, it looks like I will have a happy marriage life.